I often say we have a sick care system, not a healthcare system.
And there's always a reason why the body is in a sick state. I had a college girl and she was getting terrible heart palpitations. So I asked her, I said, where is your cell phone? And she said at night she was laying it right here on her heart. And I said, you cannot do that. That's radiation. Inflammation, that's the other big thing most Americans have because it comes from their gut.
Welcome to part 2 of our homeopathy series as we talk natural healing with a certified health and healing solutions consultant. You know, I thank you for saying that because, you know, I think all too often people want a pill. You know,
Yes.
They want something fast.
Americans they want it quick and fast, but they're
Yes.
changing now because they're not seeing the results. They're getting a lot of side effects and they're not feeling well. And the other thing is they want to be heard.
Yes.
They want me to listen to them. And I listen and we talk over, and there's always a reason why the body is in a sick state. We just have to figure out what it is.
Yep.
But I don't want to put Band-Aid therapy on it. I want to find out how to neutralize it and let the body heal itself. So we have to figure out why. So we do some research, and they want to be heard because they really are sick, but unfortunately, no one's listening to them anymore.
You know, you're right. I mean, I often say we have a sick care system, not a healthcare system.
Right.
And I mean, how many times do we go to a doctor and we're kind of rushed in and out of the appointment?
Yeah.
You know?
Unfortunately, it's not really their fault because now they're bought out by big companies and they have quotas and they have so much time. Yeah. You know, I still want to have faith in doctors that they went to medical school. But if we all could work together, it sure would make a difference.
That's the trick. And I think you're right. That's where we need to get to. You know, so kind of bridging, you know, between homeopathy and medical marijuana.
Yep.
So kind of talk a little bit about that. So what are some of the conditions or symptoms that you see that medical marijuana tends to help with best?
Okay.
And what have you kind of...
Okay, well, let's go through the different ages.
Yeah.
So children today, there's a lot of stress in the school system. The kids put a lot of stress on them. You know, they have these big tests to do. So there's a lot of anxiety. So I use the CBD gummies for their anxiety. They even have sleep issues, which is really hard for me because I grew up on a farm. We worked ourselves to death and we hit the bed and you were out. But they need help today sleeping because of the stress this world puts on them. So I use the gummies for sleep for them. Again, I use it for anxiety. The ADD, ADHD kids who have focusing issues and hyperactivities, I use the CBD and the different gummies for that also, and we're having tremendous results from that. And then when you go into the teenage world and the college kids, again, it comes down to depression, anxiety, you know, social media things. So they have a lot of weight on their shoulders. They have to look a certain way. So they're suffering a great deal. Plus, the other thing is, for instance, I had a college girl and she was getting terrible heart palpitations. So I asked her, I said, where is your cell phone? And she said at night she was laying it right here on her heart. And I said, you cannot do that. That's radiation. And then after that, I put her on a good sleep gummy and she was fine. When we go into adulthood, of course, I have a lot of cancer clients that come in. So that's when I send them to get their medical marijuana license because it works super well so they don't have to take all the addicting pain medications, and they love it. Parkinson's, I've had people with Parkinson's and CBD, and the medical marijuana does very well, so they don't have, some of them do, like I had a client the other day, just diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he does not do well with the medication. So I suggested medical marijuana and the CBD, and it's working really well. Migraine headaches, it's helping with that. Inflammation, that's the other big thing most Americans have because it comes from their gut. And so I put them on the gummies that are very, very good for inflammation. And I've actually had people not have to get knee replacements, hip replacements, because we changed their diet, but we also put them on the CBD and the medical marijuana, whatever works for them, and it's gotten rid of the inflammation, so they've not had to have knee replacements or hip replacements. And that, to me, is fantastic. So I love it when we can prevent having to have surgeries, because really it is hard on the human body. It's wonderful. So, yeah, I am getting really, really great results from the CBD and the medical marijuana for people, and they love it. Yeah.
What do the patients say? Like, and I'm thinking the patients that maybe have never been introduced to medical marijuana, or just didn't know about it,
Right.
or maybe even adverse to it. Because I know some people are just, they think it's the devil's lettuce. There's
Yes.
still that kind of lingering stigma.
Right.
How do you address patients
So
like that?
that was, a wonderful plant that was put on the face of the earth by God to be used. And it became taboo, but, it's not addictive. It's a wonderful healing agent. And they're not educated, so we really educate them. And the other thing that I found out, the more I work with CBD and the medical marijuana, that and in my practice, I don't look at everybody the same. Everybody's completely different. And when it comes down to using CBD and the medical marijuana, you have to see, does a person have a toxic liver? Then we've got to detox that, because it's going to sit in their liver longer, and maybe they get a little bit woozy after they take a gummy and they don't like that feeling. Maybe the dose is too high for them and we have to change. Do you have a high metabolism? Do you have a slow metabolism? That you have to change the doses when you look at the person and see what type of metabolism they have. So it's just not a cut and dry thing. So we experiment with them. And the first thing that I tell them is, I don't want you to leave, and I don't want you to say, oh no, I'm never trying that again, because it might have made you a little bit slower in the morning. We just need to adjust it. If you work with me, we'll get it right. So I can tell you, I'm just having such good results with the children using it for anxiety, and those so many of them, the college kids with anxiety and depression, cancer patients, Parkinson's, migraines, hormonal issues. I mean, I can go on and on. I love the CBD plant. We're an endocannabinoid system. That's a cannabinoid system. It matches really well. I'm just having really great results with it, for sure.
That is fantastic. Off camera, we were talking a little bit about, the need for homeopathic therapy and modern medicine to kind of being able to work together better,
Yes.
right? And there's a glimmer of hope out there, I think, because marijuana is about to go Schedule 3. It's in the process of going Schedule 3, which doctors will be able to prescribe it now after that point.
Wonderful.
Now, if that's the case, how do just kind of hypothetical, right? How would you see that potentially evolving into homeopathic therapy with this going Schedule 3 and more doctors being able to prescribe that? Or do you see that would be a good way for us to kind of integrate the two? Or being the entry point, maybe?
Yeah, it's going to expand it more, and they'll understand it. And maybe then they'll say, hey, let's work together. In 34 years of doing this natural practice that I have, I've had 2 doctors want to work with me, MDs, in 34 years. And to me, that's really sad.
It is.
So I'm hoping that would bring a bridge to bring alternative people. In my opinion, even during COVID, when they had doctors on the panel, I was hoping maybe they'd bring an alternative or a functional medicine doctor that understands on that too, because we gave wonderful homeopathic remedies and people didn't die of COVID. They got better. So I think it's time that we incorporate everything. That's what we took the oath of healing. All of us.
And, and I think COVID was a big wake-up call for a lot of people.
It was.
I think a lot of people started learning, questioning more. I think questioning modern medicine a lot more. And people started looking into their own health and what can I do to take control of my own health? Because let's face it, COVID was marketed as if you had underlying conditions, you were at risk of dying.
Right.
That's kind of what they said.
Right. And that's just fear. And,
exactly.
If you go to medical school or you go to alternative medical schools, we don't teach fear. So we don't do that. Yeah. What we need to do, and more people today are understanding that they've got to keep their immune system up. When you think of 70% of your immunity is in your gut. So if you're eating bad foods, drinking Coca-Cola and eating all this junk food, your gut's going to be inflamed and your immune system's going to be bad. And every bug, every virus, every disease is going to go, hey, I'm going right in there. It's keeping your pH high, keeping your immunity high. Then I don't care what you do. If I took a bow and arrow and I shot it at you and your immune system is this strong, that bow and arrow, that arrow is going to bounce off of you.
Right.
It doesn't mean that every single one of us, most of the people who got sick with COVID had comorbidities. Mm-hmm. You know, they were diabetic. They had all these issues. The people that were extremely healthy, they did very well. It felt like the flu. I mean, I had it for 4 days, felt like the flu. Mm-hmm. All I did was take all homeopathic remedies, zinc, quercetins, all the different good things, built my immune system up in 4 days. We were good to go. So that's the objective. That's what I hope that the allopathic medical world and the alternative world can start working together, because we just want to keep people as healthy as we can.